Hello there, back with Soulstone Survivors, and today I'm showing you a very particular build, and it's probably not something you can possibly guess that exists. See, I have my fourth gun, I have my dogs, and I have my basic ability. Now, let's skip to where I actually have the build completed. It'll blow your mind. And here is the completed build. If you thought it's something other than putrefy 6 times, you're sorely mistaken. Now, let's banish the card that we never need. Boom. And take the actual damage it applies to all the putrefies. Now, how does the build work? You see, your character does not attack. Ever. Instead, what happens? You pick up the dog treats, and you run away from enemies, and you dash away from enemies. But your dog, they attack the enemies, and they also need a bath. They stink so much, every time they come near enemies, they deal 8,000 damage to all around them, and it stacks. Good lord, the damage of this build. Essentially, I have been running around while my dogs stink up the place and kill all the enemies. And mind you, this can carry you a very, very long run. Because you see, Raws, which is the damage type of putrefy, look at the health bars. Green, 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 instantly green. And 500 rod stacks, 400 rod stacks, and this health bar is also instantly green. Now, what's happening? Raws can transfer. So if there is a cluster of enemies, and the dog just pops in and stinks up the place, every single enemy is gonna have a stack of rod, but once the enemy dies, they're gonna transfer the stack of rod to the nearest enemy. And so on and so forth. So eventually, if there is a boss, in that pack of enemies, that boss is going to get 1,000 stacks of rod, which is, which is 9 million damage. Right there. And obviously, you want to banish anything that's for a specific skill, you want to pick up anything that's for a specific skill type, so have nature. And the magnet, and the movement speed, yes, and nature. And I banished a bunch of skill-specific things. So this one, area, banish that. Venomous, don't take that because you have Purity Rune. And speaking of rune themselves, let's have a look. I have the singular focus because this is what allows you to have a bunch of putrefies. I have focus fire. I sacrifice a bunch of area for a bunch of damage, and I think I get the area back regardless. So having a bit of an extra damage at the very start is great. I only deal raw damage, so any on-hit effects, well, I don't have any extra on-hit effects, so Purity is also increasing my damage quite substantially between these, so it's almost more than double the damage. Skill inclination nature, because this is what allows you to have these things quickly. And skilled mastery nature, because Houndmaster does not have access to putrefy, and I specifically picked the putrefy. And also your favorite reroll rune, because it's a slot that you have to fill, and the reroll every 10 levels is something. Without it, it's actually quite difficult. Now, what do I have on the other side? I have movement speed, because you constantly have to run away. I have area modifier, because if this doesn't hit a bunch of enemies, you don't get to deal a bunch of damage. And of course, damage increase for nature skill, area effect for nature skill, multicast for nature skill. Then I have damage increase for burst skills, which is, this is nature and burst. And I have multicast for burst. Then I have the 2 tandem runes, which is 100% chance to deal a critical strike on full health enemies, and double the rot application. And also I got lucky and got an extra dash count, which is amazing. And since this skill has a very long cooldown, you kinda want to have a lot of frequency. And also anything, damage increase for skills type area. And putrefy is also type area, so you want to not pick anything that's for a specific skill for putrefy, but rather instead you want to pick anything that's for type of, you know, nature, magical, whatever. For skill type rather than specific skill. Now, let's see how the ability performs. Now, let's look at the damage. And surprisingly, more damage was actually dealt by the dogs than I expected. 6 million, good lord. And the dogs really doing the work. And I did absolutely nothing most of the game. So this is probably an AFK kind of build. Try it out for yourself, tell me what you think, and why not subscribe if you're watching this far, and see you in the next video.